The summer heat rolled off the pavement in Hollywood. Rod Stewart was about to take the stage, and for once Michael James Martin wasn't thinking about music, motorcycles, missing persons, or conspiracy theories. He was just enjoying a night with the woman he loved. That would change the next morning. The next day they met Leslie's niece Brittany for brunch in Hermosa Beach. She looked like someone who'd spent weeks trying to convince herself everything was fine. It wasn't.
It started with a bag.
A bag?
Not just any bag, a one-of-a-kind designer handbag.
Brittany had been working at the unique gift shop in Malibu, owned by a charismatic 43-year-old bachelor named Chet. Or at least Brittany thought he was a bachelor. He was handsome, charming, funny, and apparently incapable of telling the truth. He claimed he'd ended a long-term relationship and was finally ready to settle down. To Brittany, that sounded like destiny. To Chet, it was Tuesday. Then came the bag, an expensive handmade designer purse worth several $1,000s, displayed prominently in the shop. Chet told Brittany it reminded him of her. One evening, he promised it would be hers. Weeks passed, no bag. Every time Brittany asked, Chet had another excuse. Inventory issue, supplier issue, bookkeeping issue, Mercury in retrograde. The excuses became increasingly ridiculous. Eventually, Brittany became suspicious enough to hire the Artamus James Detective Agency. Michael called Camelot City immediately.
Artamus, we've got a bag case.
There was silence, then laughter, then more silence.
Pack your notebook. This is going to be stupid.
Neither of them knew how right he was. Within days, they discovered that Chet's life resembled a circus more than a romance. There wasn't one girlfriend, there were two. Actually, 3, then 4, then 6. By the end of the first week, they had lost count. Each woman believed she occupied a special place in Chet's life. And then came the shocking discovery. Every single one of them had been promised the bag, the exact same bag. Michael began constructing what became known as the bag matrix, a giant flowchart connecting women, dates, promises, excuses, and sightings of the handbag. It eventually covered an entire wall at headquarters.
Either he's the dumbest player in California, or that bag isn't really for sale.
Artamus stared at it for several minutes. The theory sounded crazy. Until they checked the inventory records, the bag had never been listed for sale. It belonged to Chet personally. The answer arrived one evening when an elderly woman entered the shop, saw the handbag, and burst into tears. The woman turned out to be Chet's mother. The bag had belonged to his late grandmother. It was the only possession he'd inherited after her death. Suddenly, everything made sense. Chet never intended to give the bag away. He couldn't. Yet he couldn't stop using it as bait. The promise of the bag was easier than genuine commitment. The women weren't competing for a purse. They were competing for a fantasy. The case appeared closed. Then things became truly bizarre. 3 weeks later, Chet disappeared. No calls, no social media, no work, no explanation. Finally, they located him, living quietly in northern Arizona, working at a roadside antique store. Single, alone, no girlfriends, no drama, no bag.
What happened to it?
Chet smiled and led them behind the store. There, hanging from a nail inside an old barn, was the famous handbag.
You really want to know?
Inside, they discovered dozens of handwritten notes. Every woman ever promised the bag had written something and placed it inside. Some angry, some heartbreaking, some hilarious. One simply read, "Keep the damn bag." Chet looked at the detectives.
For years, I thought all these women were the problem. Turns out, it was me.
Months later, Brittany received a package. Inside was a photograph of the handbag hanging in the Arizona barn. On the back, a note, "You deserved better. Sorry, Chet." No return address, no phone number, just a picture. Brittany laughed. For the first time in a long time, she genuinely laughed. Then she framed it. Today, the photograph hangs in the Artamus James Detective Agency headquarters in Camelot.